Hello all. Lots of news? Lots of news. I'll try and get to some of it now. Let's go over to the board. Alright, Shell Oil has decided that they're going to do a new project called the Stones Field out in the Gulf of Mexico. Deepwater Horizon disaster in the Gulf of Mexico caused 4.9 million barrels of oil to be leaked out into the ocean, and probably twice that much of the Corexol was added to the oil to sink it down into the bottom of the ocean. Well, now Shell wants to drill even deeper, almost twice as much, 9,500 feet below the ocean, to where the ocean floor starts, and then they'll drill down into the oil. The Deepwater Horizon was 5,100 feet deep. That was the depth of the ocean floor there. So they're going to go 9,500 feet before they even start drilling. That's not all. The Stones Field is about 200 miles southwest of New Orleans. However, Shell also has another project that's 8,000 feet below the ocean, and that's this field here. And that's just the beginning. There are deep water projects going all over the world right now. My question is why? I've got an answer. I've been trying to get some honest numbers on what the world's oil supplies are doing, and the numbers are all over the place, as you can imagine. The U.S. is becoming, in their mind, an exporter of oil, which will supply most of the world. But let me show you the information I've gotten so far. Okay, if you're not into reality, maybe it's time for you to try another YouTube channel. Conventional oil, the type of oil where this is the ground and you have one of these thingies that go up and down, right? That's called conventional oil, where it's pumped out of a reservoir down here. These are fairly shallow compared to what's happening in the deep water, but the information I'm getting, conventional oil in 2005 peaked and is now declining 7.5%. Remember, they said that the conventional oil would only decline between 2 and 3% per year. They said if it ever reached 3%, that would mean that the world would be running out of oil very quickly. Too fast to change over to anything else quick enough. It turns out it's at 7.5% decline. Conventional oil. World population, 7 billion people and climbing. Population is now at 3 babies per second. Population is going up almost straight up. Oil is going down at 7%. Now they're saying the alternative, deep water, tar sands, and the fracking will take that like this somehow. But right now we are holding somewhat flat because of the alternative oils. So that's why the rush is on to get oil from any place at any cost, because the population is exploding, our usage is exploding. Regardless of how efficient the cars are going to get, that's still not even close to being enough to what our needs are. And let me show you one other thing. Just 200 years ago, our CO2 was at 275, carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is why our planet is warm. Our planet is here, our atmosphere is here, and there's about 275 parts per million of carbon dioxide in our atmosphere, which causes sun rays to come in and stay inside of our atmosphere instead of bouncing back out. It's called the greenhouse effect, and that's why we're as warm as we are. In the 90s and the early 2000s, our parts per million had grown to 350 parts per million. Just the other day, we were past 400 parts per million. That hasn't happened since humans have even been on the planet. The cause and effect are delayed. In other words, this can keep going up and the weather pattern will change to copy it, but it will change several years later, about 10 to 15 years to catch up. So in about 10 to 15 years, this 400 parts per million will start showing up. Right now we're still reeling with the 3 to 350 range. We haven't even been gotten caught up to that, and look how much trouble we're having already with the weather. Do the politicians just not do the math or the science to figure this out? Or do they just don't believe in parts per million? They don't believe in the atmosphere that we breathe? Or, I mean, can you imagine when we get up to 400 parts per million with the weather, what it's going to be like here? Most of our governments around the world and the oil companies are projecting higher and higher fuel use, and that they will fill the demand with different liquids. The oil will fill some of it. Shale oil will fill a little bit of it. Coal is more, and natural gas is even more. So if this is today, they have their projections out way up here into 2020 or 2016, and it just shows increased use of oil and other fossil fuels. Can't happen. Should have stopped a long time ago. The politicians aren't going to stop it. It can only be the people that stop it. So what can we do? Sometimes I don't. It's hard to tell because you can't see with this camera where it's looking. So that's why I keep saying ride a bicycle, shop at your local areas, do your banking with a cooperative like a credit union or a very small independent bank. Get the money out of these corporations' hands. Stop putting your money into the corporations. If they don't have any money, they can't do this kind of thing. It's just that simple. It's up to us. It can't be up to anybody else. And since we have almost 100 subscribers, I'm sure we can change the way the world works with that. Alright, with that, let's go up and see how many barges are in San Francisco Bay. Okay guys, it's very windy, so I'm trying to keep the wind from buffeting the mic. It's also kind of foggy out. I'm hoping I am showing you the bay. Okay guys, it looks like we have 4 barges in San Francisco Bay. And the gasoline prices here in San Francisco have been going up and down so volatilely. They've been going up and down almost on a daily basis. Let's go see what they are today. Inexpensive gas station. Expensive gas station. And Brent crude, we're always watching that to see if it gets above 120 a barrel. If it ever gets above that, that means that the world's economy goes into a depression, recession. We're still in the one from last time, in my opinion. There's some breaking news. It almost looks as if the EU is breaking a scandal in the oil business. Several oil companies there are being probed. Apparently there were some raids. This just came out, so we'll talk about it more next time. Anyway, Brent crude started out 102.8, didn't do much. Went up just a little bit down. Went up down to 102, and then sort of made its way. Oh, that doesn't work. Gotta go get the eraser. Not funny how the brain does things you don't think it should do. Did that make sense? Well, it just does things on its own. How's that? Alright, we're here. And okay, it went right up to here. And is at present 102.6 or somewhere in there. There's still some more time on the chart. Alright, apparently the Facebook CEO, Mark Zuckerberg, is supporting the Keystone XL pipeline. So 350.org and another environmental group which I will not mention are urging everyone on Facebook to get off of Facebook. You know, that's the company that data mines and sells your information. To get off Facebook and dislike Mark Zuckerberg. I guess you can dislike people there. I do not own anything with Facebook, so I don't know how it works. But anyway, that's what they're asking people to do. I'm just spreading the word. All right, and the last thing I wanted to mention was a one of our YouTube watchers gave a comment, DGS772, and I didn't really understand too much of what he was asking, but I know the ending. He asked, is there an oil bubble coming? Boy. Do you mean financially, or of course we're going to have a big decline in oil, even with the new oil coming online, the new poisonous tar sands and the fracking oil from all over the world now. That will bring in some more oil and will add more CO2 to the environment. It's going to be the environment that is going to change suddenly, I do believe. I was watching another video called Snowball Earth. They were explaining the greenhouse effect and how CO2 went up really, really high right after an ice age, and because of the volcanoes trapped too much caused too much CO2 in the atmosphere and caused runaway greenhouse gas, which melted all the ice, put us into the situation we're into today. So we know that the greenhouse effect is real and is going to affect it. And there's about a 10 to 100 year delay in the effect, high CO2. So that's why nobody's much paying attention, because there's just this little delay and all this warnings and nothing's happening, or so they think. I really appreciate the new subscribers. YouTube wants to charge for subscriptions. They're going to try it on a limited basis on their very best YouTube channels. I promise you, you'll never get charged, if I have anything to do with it, to subscribe to this channel. You will not see ads on this channel either. As soon as all that stuff happens, I'll of course remove myself from YouTube, and they'll lose the entire channel. We'll go to another one. So I appreciate all the comments, and if I don't comment on all of them, I mean to. It's just that things are getting very busy. So don't forget to go to Pink Barrio and get your updates there, and support the small independent artists on there, you know, instead of supporting those big corporations talked about. Again, thanks for any comments, and as soon as YouTube stops messing with us, we'll start putting up a lot more videos. They want us to change the name. They say that Peak Oil News Update is too confusing. They want to just use our regular names. Are you guys confused about Peak Oil News Update? Is that complicated? I mean, it's pretty clear. Anyway, see you later.